Hey guys, I don't really have my camera or anything set up on this computer, but I'm trying to get these tutorial videos out to you, so I'm just gonna jump right in here and start off with the basic one, right, which is setting up this Unit 7 project. Okay, so I'm gonna do a couple of the little units in here, and I'm gonna try to break this video up a couple times. So in the next one, hopefully you'll be able to see my face. So the first thing that you need to highlight is that this version, or this little project, needs version 5.6.3. I know this is annoying. I know it's frustrating. I've sent my concerns to K-12, and a couple of other teachers of the same course have as well, so we're just waiting on results. But it will need Unity 5.6.3. Now, I've already done this a couple times just to make sure that I knew how to do it, but I'm going to do it again just for you right now. So we're going to create a new project in 3.6.3 at least. We'll just call it new Unity project, or I don't know, I'll call it like level test. All right, and this is where we're going to show you how to build a 3D environment. Super easy, and a lot of stuff's going to build off this. But today we're just going to get the 3D environment built, and then we may lay down some textures, and then in the next video I'll show you how to do some advanced movement for your characters and things like that. So we're not going to worry about that. We're going to make it full screen, and you should be able to see everything. The asset store should be open right away. If it's not, you can always go to Window and then Asset Store, and then it'll add that asset tab. But right now we're going to start in the scene view. So the first thing you should always do is do File, Save Scenes, all right, and then save your main scene. Always do that first. Remember, you can't create anything without a scene, all right? The next thing you want to do is download this medieval package. Now, in the OHS, it shows you how to download this, but we'll do it from scratch right here. So I'm going to shrink this inspector. I'm going to go to my asset store. I'll go to 3D models, environments, and I'm going to click on free only. And then it should be in this list somewhere. Let's see. It's like the medieval. There it is. It moves around a little bit, but medieval tune, I believe. Is that the right one? Yeah. All right. So medieval tune house or something like that. Medieval tune house. Is this the right one? Hold on. Let's go back. Let me see if there's another medieval one. It can get confusing. I think there's one more that's a little bit different. There it is. Medieval town exteriors. This is the one we want. And I've already downloaded it, but you'll click the download button here first. You'll download it, and then you'll click import, and it will import it into your game. So import, and it should bring the entire package down into your assets folder. So now this is available. All the prefabs, the textures, the 3D objects, they are all available to put inside your game. Now remember, prefabs are objects that have that we're not necessarily wanting in our game in the beginning, but we want to, these are objects that we've created some kind of settings for, and then we've put inside of our assets folder to be used later. And then remember, meshes are what we're going to use for our 3D objects. So we got that done. Now, the next thing we want to do is add a new 3D object to our game, and we're going to add a terrain this time rather than a plane. Now, the big difference between a terrain is the settings that we're able to use. So I'm going to back up. I'm going to show you this. So this is a huge terrain. These things are really, really big by default. You can edit this, obviously, to be whatever you want. Today I'm going to focus on this one little spot, and we're not going to use the entire thing, but you can definitely scale this down. All right. So the next thing I want to do is kind of make some terrain. So let's play around with the terrain tool. So whenever we click on our terrain, you'll notice that it's got 3 components already added to it, and the only one we're going to be interested in is the terrain component. And we're going to click on, first tool will be the raise lower terrain tool. Now, some of you were complaining about how fast this raised the terrain. Well, it's probably because your opacity is too high. So opacity, this little setting right here, will determine how fast it rises or it jumps up. So lower that down to 20, maybe even like 10, 15. And then you can lower your brush size too if you want to be a little bit more fine. I'm going to leave it at 40 and 15. And then I'm going to just click once, and you'll see that my terrain starts to rise. Now, anywhere that you click, it's going to raise the terrain a certain amount of pixels. All right. And so if you hit a higher terrain, it's going to raise that higher terrain. If you hit the bottom, it's going to raise that as well. So use this to sculpt out your little landscape. So I'm going to Control Z that, and I'm going to build up. I'm just going to make a little mountainous region just around this one. Sorry. Let me bring in my game object, 3D object. I deleted it. And then let's get rid of this one. Sorry, I don't know why I've done that. Okay, cool. All right, this is what live videos do to you. All right, so we're going to select our terrain, and then let's pull up some mountainous areas. Let's make like a big mountain range in the back. This is going to look crazy. All right, because my brush is too big. Let's lower the brush size a little bit and fine tune these out. This is kind of funky looking, but all right, there we go. We got a little mountain range in the background. Like I said, this is terrible, but you know, if you're more artistic than I am, you can, you know, take some time to make these mountains look a little bit better. All right, let's make some mountains. Yay, mountain ranges. All right. All right, now I want to pull up. Now, what I want to do is I want to place my city in the middle of this big mountain range. So I'm going to place my city in the middle. And what I need for that is like a plane of area that's all the same height. And what I'll do for that is I'm going to go to this smooth height, is it? No, paint height, right. Paint height, and I'm going to set the height to 10 because that's how high I want my city to stand. And I'm going to click, and I'm just going to drag around. Now, any place that I hold, it will do the same thing as the terrain like level tool. The only difference is it limits it to 10. So it can only be raised to a level of 10. Okay, so you'll see it goes all the way to 10, and it doesn't go past that. And that allows me to make a big flat spot. And then maybe we'll do this because it'll be like a road that goes back there. That'd be cool. All right. So let's start taking. Let's do another road through the mountains here. Maybe this one connects with that other one, but I don't know. I'm just thinking a little bit. All right, so now we have this cool looking terrain, and now we need to add some stuff to it, right? Now, I do want to add, put some textures on here first, so let's go ahead and add some textures. The way you do that, it's all in here. You're going to click on your paintbrush here, and then we'll go to Edit Textures, Add Texture. And so now we have, it's going to go to this, make sure you push, or you click Albedo, not Normal. We're going to hit Select. And this is all the assets, this is all the textures that are inside that medieval assets. Now, if you were to add your own materials, they'll be in here as well. I'm going to click Grass Texture Rocky first because I want that to be my default one. Whichever one you select will be your default. And then I'm going to double click it, and then I'm going to click Add, and it should cover everything in it. Now, that's normal, all right? It's going to cover everything in the first texture that you select. It becomes your default texture. Now, in order to add another texture, you go to Edit Texture, Add Texture. Go to the Albedo again, click Select, and then select another one that you want, and I'm going to select Grassy. Okay, so that's a little bit different. Click Add. Oh, sorry, that was the wrong one. All right, live video, right? Add texture, select, and we're going to do Grass Texture. Double click and click Add. There we go. And now we can select our grass texture, and we can start to add our grass texture to the top. So this is not Glass Rocky anymore. On our plateau, we just want grass. All right, and obviously I want to change the mountain texture. I might want to give that mountain texture like a, you know, obviously more of a mountainy look. I'll put some grass at the base. All right, there we go. So I'm covering it in grass. And the cool thing about Unity is Unity will try to blend it as well as they can. So anywhere that you mix the two textures, it's going to try to blend it. The smart blending is pretty good sometimes. Sometimes you might have to make the brush smaller and get in there with some detail. But I'm just going to do this for now. So now we have the grass where our little village is going to be, and we have this cool background. And we have our two little secret roads. Now remember, you can add any textures in here that you want. If you want to go and download some textures, you can download them and throw them in here. That's totally cool. So let's go back, assets, here we are, and we are in our main screen. Now we need to add some objects, right? So let's add some objects to our scene, and this is super easy. This is one of the reasons I love Unity, is how easy it is to add 3D objects into your scene. So we got our little village here, and you can see we could create so much more, but let's just create some objects. So let's go to our, double click our folder. This has everything in it we want, but we're going to look into prefabs. The prefabs folder, remember, these are already going to have default physics and abilities and stuff, so anything you want to add, you can add stuff to these, but they already have stuff on them, which is great. So let's add some barrels, all right? So that's what the barrel looks like. You can click it for a preview. You can click it and rotate it and see what it looks like. And we're going to, it already has box collider, see, so it already acts like a physics thing, so that's kind of neat. And let's grab a barrel and let's drag and drop it onto our scene, all right? Now, one thing you can do is once you click it, click on your barrel, hit the F key, and it will focus on your barrel. That's like a really quick way to like focus down. Another shortcut is once you have it selected, you can hit Control D to create a duplicate. All right, so that's cool. And then we'll click our Remove tool, and we can move the duplicate like that. All right, so let's move that, and let's set the barrels next to each other. So now I want to put a barrel on top of here. I'm going to hit Control D again to create another duplicate. I'm going to spread it out, and I'm going to hit Control and Shift. So I'm going to hold Control and Shift, and now when I move it, it will automatically stack it up on top. So that's kind of cool, right? So automatically stacks on top of these. Now the next thing you might want to learn how to do as far as movement is like leaning. So I'm going to, now remember, whenever you lean, think about how, like whenever you turn your game on, these are physics objects. So if they're leaning, they're going to fall. So make sure they're leaning up against something. So I'm going to hit Control D, create another duplicate. I'm going to pull it out here. All right, I'm gonna try to free move it a little bit. Let's move it over here. Uh-oh, make sure you're hitting shift so it stays, sorry, shift control. So it stays on top of your object, so it stays on top of our little platform. I'm gonna put it right here, and you're going to rotate it. Now, the way you rotate it is you can change it up here in the transform, but sometimes that can be difficult. So instead, we're gonna go up here to the top left, click on our rotate tool. We're gonna grab whatever axis we want to rotate, and it's hard to really, it's kind of hard to see sometimes, but let's see. I'm gonna grab this one, there we go, and I'm gonna rotate it, there we go. And I'm gonna set it up against my barrel. Hold on, gotta put my move tool back on. Go to back onto our move tool, and I'm gonna move this to where it's leaning up against our barrel. There we go. All right, so we have this cool little barrel scene. Now let's move something else. Let's do building A. Let's drag building A up here. Drag building A, is that's what it looks like, and whoa, hold on, where are you going? Shift, control, let's put it in here somewhere. Where are you? Wait, we need to back up. Let's back up. All right, there we go. That might be a little bit easier. There we go. Once you hit control A, we're gonna put building right here. That looks perfect. We're gonna rotate around. If you don't know how to rotate, right click to rotate around the screen, middle click to drag and move. And then this will just move. Okay, so cool. Let's put our barrels. Let's put our little house, control shift. Let's move our house right here. So our barrels are going to be sitting right there. And are we sitting on the scene? Yeah, we're sitting on the scene. Perfect. These little barrels are just hanging out behind the house. Remember, I can control D to create a duplicate. Pull that out. And then I can rotate it. All right, we can rotate it. All right, and let's move it just, let's say go back to our move tool. And control shift, and let's move it over here a little bit. There we go. Shift and move, and control shift, move, okay. And it will snap to the top of our building, and there we go. So we have two buildings. So we've started building this cool little town. Now, I would encourage you to do much, much more than this, obviously. I'm just giving you the basics of creating your first little 3D world. Now, you could create this entire thing. You could build villages. You build pathways to those villages. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how to create a first-person character so that you can actually walk around in this new environment that we built, all right? So I'm going to take a pause here, and I'll see you guys back in the next video where we will add the character, all right? See you soon.